Okay, I have another 12 by 12 layout for you, and I'm going to use a sketch from the blog Nuts About Sketches. And as you see there, those are all the things I plan on using. So first I trimmed down that pinkish red speckled paper, and then I am going to cut this circle out here. And I just used a plate because I don't have any big circle templates, and it's easy and cheap to use a plate to make a circle and just cut it out yourself. So I'm going to cut it out here, and I'm not going to use that side. I'm going to use the opposite side here. I always use my pencil, normally put my pencil marks on the opposite side, so I don't have to worry about erasing. And then I'm going to cut down this paper, floral paper, but I'm going to use the chevron side. And most of this paper is coming from the Studio Calico Kit from this month. What month are we in? September. I'm using a few from last month in August. And so what I'm doing here is I wanted to use some of that, it's kind of a grayish green paper for my journaling. And since I only had one sheet of it, and I'm covering most of this background with that pink red paper, I'm just cutting out a little spot in the middle. And now I'm just measuring to make sure to see how wide I need my journaling block to be. I'm just marking it to know where I need to trim. So I'm going to trim it down and then glue it down. And I will ink all the edges of the papers in here with my black soot distress ink. And then I'll skip over to the papers being laid out. Okay, so that's how they're going to be mostly laid out. And I'm going to use this chevron trim, black trim, as a grounding point for my picture and the circle and that journaling block. So now I'm trying to just arrange it all, and I'll just kind of glue it down to get an idea of where everything's going. And I'm just using it's a non-permanent glue, and it's repositional. I just did a long strip there just to get the trim, that chevron trim down there. I'm going to glue that pink paper on, and then I also glue that trim on the back, but then I came back later on and use some washi tape to tape it down. And then I'm going to use these big sequins from that Studio Calico Collection Kit. But first I decided I wanted to sprinkle some ink. So I'm using Mr. Huey's black ink. And then I am going to pull out my book there. It shows me the different types of blues that I have. And I think I use electric blue from, what's it called? What's the brand? Tattered Angels. And then I love these arrows that we got in the collection, the Studio Calico collection. And I'm just grouping them with what colors I wanted to do. I wanted to do some blue and I wanted to do something black. So, and of course my Tattered Angels mist or glimmer mist was stopped up, so I had to use another little Mr. Huey's little mister to spray it out. So anyways, I'm just gluing it, and then I pulled another arrow. I wanted to add one more, and since I had all that extra mist there, I just dumped it into it to put it onto those canvas arrows. So I'm just cleaning it up. And now I'm going to glue down those sequins into where I wanted them. And I'll fuss with them a little bit to get them glued down. They were kind of hard to glue down. I'll come back later on and you'll see me putting some glue dots behind them too to help pull them down. So now I'm just using some washi tape to add a little more accent to the page. And I'm using a black and polka dot one. I think that's from the Smash collection stuff, and some pink and white striped that I got from Freckled Fawn. I just got that, so I really wanted to use that pink in there. So I'm just using it there on the top and the bottom of the circle. And I'm kind of loosely going off that sketch there at the very beginning. Now I'm going to be putting some... Oh, I used that badge that came in the collection too, so it's the sweetest thing. And at first I was going to use a title, something different, and then later on you'll see me, I'll use that that badge is part of my title. So here you see me using the glue dots to glue down the sequins a little bit better, because they were popping up those little gems from Prima. So I'm just sprinkling, just randomly placing them places, not having really a design idea in mind where I'm putting them, just kind of just putting them down, randomly. But I mean randomly around each of those sequins, and then those splatters areas that I had. So there's that. And now I will be adding my arrows. I'm just going to fiddle with those and see where I want them. And in a moment I'm going to pull out my stamps, because I wanted to add some stamps because I was with my friends, and this is a birthday from my birthday a long time ago. And so I had some stamps about friends, and I wanted to add those on there. And I figured that would be a great place to use those arrows to point those interests to those stamps. So I'm just looking at my little stamp here, which one I want to use. And just I realized I was using the Distress ink when I should have been using my StazOn. So anyways, I had to go back over and put my StazOn ink on it. So then now I'm just adding some of those arrows again that I had misted. And then I pulled out some brads that were the number brads that came in the Studio Calico Kit this month. And since it was my 23rd birthday, I was going to use the 2 and the 3. So again, pulling out that glue dots to glue down those sequins, because they kind of rolled up and it was driving me nuts because I was trying to glue things down and it wasn't sticking. So anyways, so now here I'm just using some October afternoon little letter stickers. And so the title is going to say the sweetest thing, it's the sweetest thing to turn 23. So I'm going to use those brads to put the 2 and the 3. I just punched a hole and I just have some foam underneath it, and I was kind of measuring to see where that next brad had to go with the other brad. And pop it in, fold it over. So it says, it's the sweetest thing to turn 23, and then I'm going to put the word with, and then I'm going to use one of those other arrows. And it was straight, but it was wet, still kind of wet and damp from the misting it, so I was able to turn it again, fiddling with those sequins. Anyways, so I was trying to figure out what arrow would work there, and so as you see, I kind of bent it because it was straight, but since it was still wet from the misting, it was able to turn that black arrow there. So it's going to say, the sweetest thing to turn 23 with friends. And that's totally not the title that I was going to use. I really didn't have a title. I was going to use, I don't know if you saw at the very beginning, there were some big blue glittery letters, stickers, and I totally didn't even use them. So anyways, so then I stamped friends, and I actually really like this title. It worked out perfectly because I did turn 23 with my friends, and they took me out to dinner for my 23rd birthday. So again, fussing with those sequins. And then later on, you'll see in the picture, I will add lines for the journaling over there and add my journaling